I'm Anjali Arnold, creative force behind Quintessence Studio and creator of Soul Tree Akashic Healing. Weird or wondrous, quintessential experiences are the kind we can't easily explain, but we've all had them. Otherworldly, real experiences shared by real people just like you. That's what this show is about. Discover and understand through information gleaned from a higher realm, pulled in via ways you would never expect. There's meaning in every quintessential experience, even if you can't explain it, and only if you're willing to create it. More is possible than we realize. Are you ready to grow beyond the mind barrier? I'd like to introduce you to Marion Goodfellow, internationally renowned medium and UK-based intuitive. She has been able to see and communicate with spirit since the age of 3. Marion can see souls who have crossed over as clearly as we see each other. BBC's Northern Ireland's Greatest Haunts featured her as their medium of choice. She believes that spirit lives on after we die, and she has devoted her entire life proving it to us, and she has, over and over again. And if that's not enough, she's the 7th daughter of a 7th daughter, and her birthday is All Hallows Eve. Marion.
Hello, everybody. As Anjali said, I'm a medium. I mediate between this world and the next. That's my sole purpose in life, to try and bring you evidence beyond that you might be able to see with your own eyes, to bring you that extra information from spirit that proves to you personally that we exist beyond this experience. And to help me in all this, I'd like to introduce Mark Cowden. He's an author, he's a wonderful, wonderful investigator, and he has the technical ability like nobody I've ever known. We met 15 years ago on the BBC show Northern Ireland's Greatest Haunts, and we've been close friends ever since. Mark has travelled the world far, far more than I have, and he's a curious in everything. He likes to investigate anything that's weird and wonderful. He likes the ancient sites, he likes UFOs, he stakes out, he's been an avid Bigfoot tracker. He is my most favourite man on the planet, Mark Cowden.
Well, thank you very much, Marion. And I have to say, the feeling is mutual. You've been a great friend all this time, more than a friend, great family member. And I'm sure we'll continue our adventure in many lifetimes to come. You did a very good job in explaining who I am and what I do. And as we travel through this adventure, we'll find out little bits about me along the way. So enough about that. But I'll talk about Anjali Arnold. Anjali is a master Akashic Practitioner, a born intuitive, and she's based out of Colorado. Working with clients around the world, she is unafraid to ask the kinds of questions few others think to ask when it comes to unburdening the soul. She knows when you tap into Akasha, the cosmic consciousness, you get guidance, wisdom, and surprising answers. She's a world teacher, and through her work, she researches and demonstrates how consciousness is continuing and connected.
So join us as we dive into everyday unexplained curiosities and get a glimpse from a higher view. We spotlight your wondrous experiences against the expansive backdrop of otherworldly possibilities. There's always so much more to explore. And because everything is interconnected, no quintessential experience is ever truly impossible. Something happened, and you were there to witness it. We are your hosts, experts in quintessential fields that were formerly termed impossible. I just wanted to let you know that we've been asking for quite some time now for people to submit their stories and for them to share with us if their stories fit any of these following categories. And if the category that your story isn't listed, then by all means, other, fill in the blank.
Crackling going on, and I've got a lady's voice, and she seems to be humming. It's almost as if she's humming and would have hummed anyway. It's sort, a sort of a no tune, but just a murmur almost that's coming through. But it's interfering with what I'm hearing. I couldn't hear your voice at all, so. Okay. It was just interfering. Was grandmother fond of music, please?
Yeah.
Because I feel that she's busying herself in the daytime just by going over old tunes and perhaps melodies in her mind, you know, and she's sort of I'm going goosey from the top of my head to the tips of my toes. She's all around you. You are the epitome of her. You think you're like your father, but inside you're like grandmother. And your mother would have told you are like, she's saying like, she's like me. She's like me. So your soul, your heart is like your grandmother's. And that's what I'm feeling coming through. And this lovely sort of melodious humming noise is all around me as I look at you. It's absolutely amazing. Just wants you to know that she's so very proud of you. You've come through an awful lot of difficulties. You're not talking about your difficulties at all. You're just reminiscing about them that you love and that are close to you. But she's saying she is so proud of all the difficulties that you have come through. You are a very brave girl, Jodie, and she wants you to know how much she loves you. And I'm upset.
Can you tell us your grandmother's name?
Her name was Esther Tom, Thom.
Tom.
She was a pianist and a vocalist.
Yeah.
And had full-blown Alzheimer's, but could sit at a piano when she could not have a conversation with you.
Absolutely.
An answer as to like why I am. So it didn't change the way I do my life, but it was the first thing I ever heard that made sense.
What did you learn?
That I was in a past life a runner for the Aztecs, and I was a champion athlete and a messenger. And in that lifetime, though, I was never taught to read and write. And so, because in a lot of societies, only certain classes were taught to read and write, but, my job was to be an athlete in that one. So the message I got was that I was born into this life with a clear sign that is not to be about athleticism, but about vision, expressing vision. Oh, yeah. So that was like the counterbalance to that other one where I was a champion athlete and couldn't read and write. But here in this lifetime, no, I'm not a champion athlete, but I made my living as a writer, and it's still part of my living because I write newsletters to my clients all the time. So, wow. My ability, in other words, was just, it was presented to me like that's why my life is going the way it is. And so it didn't change what I do because I'd already had the leg surgeries to take care of that. And I'd already had my education and my career as a writer.
Mm-hmm. Some information that came through was in that lifetime, you had been sent to do reconnaissance or some kind of investigation to another tribal community. So it would be on land, for them. And you were caught. You were caught on their land, spying, I guess. And so much for running away. They weren't going to let you go. And that actually was the end of that lifetime. So once you were caught, so you had been the runner up until that point, mm-hmm. and then the running had to stop. Well, so it was almost like the ending of that one wrapped around and carried over into the starting of this one, the not running. The not running.
Yeah, yeah.
So that had its chance. That had its chance to have that turnaround.
I'm interested to hear from you how other people feel about you in your journey through the cancer experience, and also through your paintings. What do you think they're getting from your paintings that you can't give them as a person with your lovely voice?
Well, I do write poetry also. So I'll pair paintings and poetry. I don't write them to go with each other.
Right.
But so there is a form of word expression that is really feels vital to me right now, as well as painting. Well, it's interesting because I was painting for me initially. I didn't think I was ever going to show anybody anything, and at one point I posted something on Facebook and then just felt really vulnerable and just shut my computer and wouldn't open it for a few days, wouldn't go on to see. And there was really a lovely response. And it shocked me, actually. And I started to realize that with creative endeavors, because I think we all have creative endeavors, like what you are doing is incredibly creative right now. And we all have our way of expressing that. It's a way of expressing the divine and this dance of divine that we actually can do on earth, right? But I do think a lot of it seems to touch people, so that makes me happy. I do have a story, actually. I'll tell you a story of a recent painting I did. I was painting mainly in oils, and I recently took a little class with a woman who's a fantastic artist. Oh, she paints, I think she just paints the divine. And she's an abstract artist, and I started using, because she uses acrylics, I was like, okay, I'll play with acrylics. And it took me a bit to kind of start to get the hang of them. But I had started a painting, and I kind of kept going on it, and it just wasn't working. It just kind of I kept thinking, oh, I'm making it worse. It got flat and this and that. And so I put it away for like a week and a half or so. I didn't work on it anymore. And I asked for the angels to finish it for me, basically. And the day I finished it, there was a horrible tragedy where I used to live, and there was a mass shooting. And I didn't know anybody had died, but I heard something like this was going on, but I didn't know anybody died, and I didn't want to listen to any more right then, and I knew I needed to go paint. And I went down, asked for divine guidance on the painting, and in 15 minutes finished it. And it represents something that I can't explain and is beyond me. And I posted it the next day as a tribute to the victims of this. And a friend of mine who's a Reiki master messaged me right away and said, wow, she said, last night I was doing Reiki for all of the people involved and for the entire city, for, all the shockwaves, for everything. And she said, what I saw was your painting when I was doing that. And so I was like, wow. And that's what moves me. I want to express something healing, something that's from the beyond.
You're painting and...
Well, there's certainly no pure form of spirit communication than art. And you needn't look any further of proof of spirit than art. If you don't create art, you're affected by art. So one or the other. And it's something that separates us from every other being on this planet. You play Mozart to a goat, and it's not going to have the same effect as if you play Mozart to one of us. Even though I'm 100% sure goats are spiritual beings, but that's what makes us different. And I think you're definitely doing some spirit communication with your painting and your poetry.
Thank you. Thank you.